First off, we want to welcome everybody to the 6th annual patch closing ceremony. You all have made it. Congrats. Yeah, give yourself a round of applause. You all have worked really hard over the course of the past 7 weeks, and now this is the 8th week to put together projects, to go into the hospital, so we're really proud of you. So just as far as the agenda for today, we're going to start with a photo slideshow. It's just short 5 minutes so that we can look back through everything that you all have done over the course of the past few weeks. Then we're going to have some welcoming and introduction. Then we're going to do your presentations, we're going to close, and then we're going to do the student posters as well as lunch, okay? And so here is the slideshow. So that was nice. I almost made me tear up there. It was good. So next, we're going to have just your leaders introduce themselves. Remember, this is being recorded. And so we're all going to go through our introductions, and then we're going to have Dr. Chang come up and speak. So I'll start. I'm Malcolm Chapman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vashti Bandy.
Hey everyone, my name is Martin Baena.
Hey, I'm Rob Short.
And as I'm sure you all have noticed, Phil is not here today, but he wishes he could be. His flight got stuck in Texas, so. And now we'll have Dr. Chang.
Thank you. I'm also going to just acknowledge Sagar Patel and Radhika Godasara, who were with us last year, but have come back for their second year to help. So, and I want to give them a little applause as well. Great. So, I'm thrilled that you guys are here. We've made it to the closing ceremony, and I want to do a shout out to family and friends who are going to be watching this filming of this recording after the ceremony today. I wanted to apologize to say that we couldn't host them in person, but we know that their love and support has gotten you all where you are, and they've gotten up early to get you to your sessions on Saturday. So I wanted to just underscore that I am really impressed that you guys came at 7:45 on a Saturday morning, spent the whole day with us, kept an open mind and were curious, and also just worked super hard. And what I see is that you guys have learned the secret sauce to success, particularly as a health professional or anything else you choose to do. I think if you ask any of these leaders here, how they got to medical school, how they got into medicine, they'll tell you they showed up reliably, sometimes early, right? They worked really hard and they kept an open mind. They were learning and curious, and they just worked really hard. They put their game face on and they worked no matter where, no matter what the situation. So we appreciate that you guys are on your way just for doing that. I wanted to give a little history of Patch, and I know some of you have heard this before, but for those who have not, I want to let you know how Patch came to be, because it's a very special story, which is that 3 of my medical students, so I teach medical students from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, 3 of them came to me about 7 years ago. And each one of these students had been teachers at CMS, all of them from Title I schools. And they said, we know that there are amazing students out there who should be in the health professions. They may even want to, but they have no way to get there. There's no opportunities and there's no exposure. And we want to create a pipeline program that will allow them to flourish and grow and hopefully join us in the health professions. And it was no small feat for these guys during their very busiest year of medical school to set up this program. But they worked hard. We worked hard and we got it off the ground the first year after about 3 or 4 months. We got some partners in nursing and medicine. It was not the program it is today, however, because this year, for the first time, we had 30 scholars, and it was competitive. I mean, you guys came in for interviews, right? And you came in, it was not an easy feat to get here, but we had 30 scholars this year from 9 high schools, primarily Title I high schools. And so we really applaud you all for sticking it out, and for really the process of even selection was quite competitive. But I will say that these medical students who had been teachers in your high schools, their vision was to try to attempt to bring more people into healthcare, so we diversify the workforce, right? We want our workforce to look like the patients we serve. We want them to be just understand what the issues are of your community. And for that reason, you guys are teaching us today. You've become our teachers, so that's the benefit of all of the students, of all the leaders here today. But I will also say that the vision is to really create better quality and higher, more access to care for all communities in Charlotte. And so we really hope you will all be part of that. We hope you'll continue your relationship with us and continue on with other programs like this. There's one at Wake Forest that I think many of you know about. There's a program at AHEC, which is at this hospital, the AHEC Scholars. That stands for Area Health Education. Area Health Education Center, I think, but AHEC Scholars. So when you're in college, that's a college program for first and second years. But we hope you'll keep in this process because it's meant a lot to us to develop these relationships, and we want to be there to support you going forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our leaders. And again, I want to underscore that this has been an effort by the medical school. So these guys are in the busiest year of the 4 years of medical school. And it has been a tremendous commitment and a tremendous they've been really devoted to this project. And so, again, you cannot thank them enough on your way out today, because it has been a joy for me to work with them, but to see them teaching you and to see them learning from you, too. So thank you.
Okay, so before we start presentations, a couple of us are going to come up. I'm going to recap a little bit of what we did over the past 8 weeks, just for the folks at home. On a typical day at Patch, all of you all know this, but you get here pretty early, like Dr. Chang said, 7:45 most days. We start out by getting you to shadowing as quickly as possible to maximize that time. So every morning from around 8 to 10, you spent with in the hospital. We had lots of great partners this year, from internal medicine, pediatrics, ICU nursing, physical therapy, rehab nursing. This year, for the first time, we also had interpreter services. We had students shadow interpreters, and that brought them all over the hospital. And we also had students working with echocardiography technicians, just to get more exposure to some imaging-based healthcare that we hadn't had in the past. And then after 10, we all regrouped over in the medical education building. We had students doing various activities over the 7 weeks. We had folks, EMTs and physician's assistants, come in and teach us how to stop the bleed. We learned how to make makeshift tourniquets. We also learned how to use real tourniquets in the event of an emergency. We learned CPR. We learned how to suture, how to make stitches on pigs' feet. We also, for the first time, had a dental simulation, which we've never had in the past. We partnered with our dental residents here, who we're very fortunate to have. We learned you all made molds of your teeth and got some exposure to that side of healthcare, which we were very excited about. In addition, we had a fan favorite was the orthopedics residents coming over and teaching us how to place casts and splints. And so we're very thankful for all of the partners that we have here at the hospital, and the relationships that we've built with residents and educators and actual healthcare practitioners over the 6 years has been really rewarding. And like Dr. Chang said, we learn a lot from them, but we can also teach them too. And I think everyone who's been involved has really enjoyed the experience, and we're really grateful for their support. Vashti, you want to come talk about?
All right. So like Dr. Chang mentioned earlier, a big part of Patch is about diversifying our healthcare workforce so that we can address community problems. So during Patch, we've talked to you all about the bigger picture of health and how it's important not only to understand your patient's symptoms, but to also understand who they are as a person, where they live, their upbringing, what they eat, what resources they have access to, their culture, what they believe, what their family believes, and countless other things about them, because all of these things play a significant role in their well-being. We hope that after having these discussions and hearing from Ms. Brisa Hernandez, the public health researcher, that you all have a better understanding today of why health disparities exist and why it's important that we continue to do research so that we can address problems and come up with solutions. The topics that you all have chosen are issues that you felt were important to address within your own communities. We're excited to hear today about the information you've discovered and your ideas about how we can work towards improved health for your classmates, yourselves, your families, friends, and all those around you. So if we'd like to get started with our research presentations, we'll have the first group come up.
Okay, good morning, guys. I'm Nikayla Belk.
I'm Asia.
I'm Valerie.
I'm Brian.
And we did our topic on the effects of social media on body image. So our topic is, how does social media affect the way that teens and young adults see themselves? We picked this topic because we feel in our generation it's an unrecognized issue, and we feel as though that teens and young adults aren't aware of the long-term detrimental effects that it can cause, such as body image issues, catfishing, depression, and unrealistic expectations.
Okay, so our study objective, our main focus was to survey high school students from CMS and charter schools using Google Forms. We surveyed people at West Med, Garinger, West Charlotte, and Sugar Creek High.
Here's our age breakdown, and we have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, but most of our results came from sophomores. And here's our ethnic breakdown. So most of the people that filled out our surveys were African Americans, but we also had other peoples as like Hispanic, African, Asian, and mixed race.
Gender breakdown. The study was open to all gender. Main focus group was females. We also included males. We had one bi-gender person as well.
So here's a little bit of background information. So body image is basically the physical perception that somebody has of themselves. It can be negative or positive, just depending on the influences that they have around themselves and the environment that they place themselves in. And then just for a fun fact, we learned that Teen People magazine conducted a survey, and they did find that 25% of teen girls did feel pressure from social media to have the ideal body image.
All right, so how does social media affect body image? It can make teens feel a certain way, or they feel like they need to look a certain way. Back to what Nikayla was saying about the ideal body. On social media, most females that look like the ideal body, they're more promoted, got more followers, and a lot of people and teens, we can say that when it's like, oh, you got more followers, you seem more popular, and you feel more better about yourself. Also, social media in many cases can present unrealistic beauty standards because you're born the way you are, and then when you see other people who you feel look better than you, or social media or other people feel look better than you, you might want to change yourself.
And so here are just a few quick studies that we were able to find. So we found that 91% of women are unhappy with their body, and it can lead to extreme dieting so they can achieve the ideal body image that they feel they need. We also learned that in a prior survey, 277 female college students tend to compare themselves to celebrities or their friends around them. And we also found that 58% of college girls do feel pressure to be a certain weight.
So, based on our research, 30% of teens spend 6 to 8 hours on social media, and 13% spend 9+ hours on social media a day, which basically means they spend most of their time on social media. 84% use social media to keep up with friends, 38% use social media to follow celebrities, and 45% use social media just to post pictures about themselves.
Okay, social media's impact on weight. So these are the people we surveyed at our schools, and 17% felt like they were underweight, 50% felt like they were average weight, and 32% felt like they were overweight. So some struggles with weight can lead to like eating disorders, maybe like you don't eat as much, or maybe you feel like you're underweight so you might eat more. And unhealthy weight management means like you feel like you need to go to the gym all the time rather than just trying to be yourself, and then low self-esteem.
So just a quick fact relating back to the last slide we had, out of the 32% of people who did feel they were overweight, 84% were females.
Okay, so according to the group of teens surveyed, 60% felt that they had a negative body image, and 40% felt that they had a good body image.
Okay, so the 3 tiers, so basically what we felt like the order of ways people started with social media and then ended with changing your body. So the first step was changing the way you look. So maybe you're on social media, you're scrolling down, and you see this famous person that has like, the little blue check on Instagram, and you're like, oh, I kind of want to look like them. So that's like when you start like seeing yourself as them. So the second was like your social media usage goes like skyrocket. So maybe you started off using like 3 hours a day, maybe now you're at 6 hours a day. So maybe that social media usage can lead to more looking at that one person more than you think you actually are. And then the third step is like criticizing your body and maybe even changing it, because everybody does a little sideways in the mirror, see how they look. So I feel like when you do that, it's like you're like, okay, so does this look right? Is this shaped the right way? Does it fit the normal standard of other people?
So the effects of social media. So social media, meaning the people on it, the influencers, and the trends, can all kind of impact us teens to feel as though we need to change to fit the ideal image that is given at that time. So for certain trends going on, we feel like we need to match that. For the certain people, the influencers that we watch, we feel like we need to match them sometimes. And then we also found from our survey in our high schools that 46% feel pressure from social media to change their appearance. 46% have changed something of themselves based off of social media, and 12% say that social media has promoted insecurities within themselves.
Some solutions to these problems are stop comparing your physical attributes to other people, because it makes you self-conscious, self-disawareness. Practice self-acceptance. Surround yourself around positive influence, and there are others hotlines around where you can go and have contact with them, and they will help you with your self-unawareness. Surround yourself with positive influence, and there are also some campaigns where you can go and help boost your confidence. Like, for example, there is one campaign called Fashion, where women or male take pictures of themselves overweight wearing good fashionable clothes and posting them in social media, and that helps boost up people's confidence when they look at that, and also help themselves boost their confidence as well. And you can also talk to a therapist, and they're good at calming people down or help you with your self-esteem.
And thank you to Patch and everyone who supported us through the journey, and we appreciate all of the given opportunities.
All right, so our next presentation will be ACEs in Mental and Physical Well-Being. That's Janae, Amaya, and Jamari.
And unfortunately, Savannah could not be here today.
So we're going to talk about ACEs. What are ACEs? ACEs are advanced childhood experience. So their traumatic events occur before the age of 18. So from abuse and neglect, parent mental illness, substance use, divorce, domestic violence. So technically you can be yelled at, get thrown stuff thrown at you, stuff like that.
So why did we decide to do this project? We decided to do this because ACEs are something very unheard of, even though a lot of people have probably experienced them in their life. And we also wanted to inform more people about them and how they can affect teens in school.
So how does ACEs affect teen mental health? Studies have shown that teens with high ACE scores are likely to have more frequent depressive symptoms, high anxiety, use drugs or alcohol, or have suicidal thoughts.
Our research, okay. So we conducted a survey asking people questions from the ACEs quiz. Mostly our objective was teens in high school who struggle, if they struggle with anxiety, experience depression, felt stress because of or in school. We aimed for 100 responses, but we got 115 from children in Charlotte.
So the ACEs questions that we mostly asked were, have they witnessed or experienced in their family mental illness, gone to or having a family member go to jail, any type of abuse, and drug or substance abuse?
Another question we asked was, would you consider yourself to be someone who suffers from anxiety? 41.7% said no, and 58.3% said yes.
Okay, another question. Does school ever make you feel overwhelmed or make you feel anxious or sad? 93% said yes and 7% said no. And we want to know who that 7% is because that's not okay.
Another question we asked was ethnicity or race. So most of our responses came from Black African American students and Hispanic students, and then we also had other races answered too.
Another question we asked was on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being like little and 5 being extremely, how much stress would you say school causes you? And the majority of the responses we had, 49 people and 42.6% voted for a 5.
So it's shown that people who experience ACEs have a lot more stress and anxiety from school.
Okay, the breakdown. The effect that ACEs can have mainly depends on your ACE score. The amount of advanced childhood experience you experience within your childhood. Everybody's score is high, low, or 0. ACEs can have a huge impact on your performance, like your future, maybe your career, school performance, mental and physical health.
So what is anxiety? Anxiety is an extreme feeling of nervousness or unease. So some of the symptoms can include having a rapid heartbeat, the feeling of not being able to breathe, sweating, dizziness, trembling, and increased blood pressure.
So how does this affect your future? ACEs cause many mental health and developmental consequences. They can make it hard for people to adjust to adult life, make decisions, cope with stress, form healthy relationships, or keep stable jobs.
How does it affect teens in school? Studies have proven that children and teens in high school ACEs struggle more and experience more stress in school. They struggle with attendance, communication, work completion, more likely to drop out or not pursue further education.
So many people don't know it, but having a lot of adverse childhood experiences can have a big outcome on your physical health. So you're more at risk for high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, asthma, and COPD, and more.
So some solutions could be finding something that makes you happy, getting some sleep, taking a day off, take some deep breaths, talk to someone, whether that be a family, friend, or therapist, promote safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments where children can live, learn, and play. And lastly, remind yourself how amazing and good of a person you are and that everything will be okay.
How do I know my ACE score? So there's many websites that you can take a quiz to get to know your ACE score. On the next slide, we have a QR code that you can scan to show your ACE score, basically.
And this is our QR code you can scan.
If you want to. Up to you.
So next we want to talk about our patch experience and like what we gained from it. So how was our patch experience and what was our favorite part?
Okay, so during my patch experience, it was very good. The people were loving. They showed us a great experience. I learned many things from our mentors over here. My favorite part was maybe shadowing, because I see different careers and I can choose either if I want to take that same, do I still want to have the same career I chose, or if I can go down a different route.
My patch experience was really good. I gained a lot. I gained some new mentors. I learned a lot of new things, and I got to see a lot of cool procedures in the hospital. And my favorite part was probably the shadowing or the suture workshops because it was really fun.
My patch experience was great because it was a good insight into like the medical field and many types of careers, and my favorite part was the shadowing of the pediatrics.
So what career were you considering coming into patch, and has it changed after?
Okay. The career I decided to do in patch was nursing, but it didn't change. Maybe I want to do psychology. I think about it.
Coming into patch, I wanted to be a surgeon, but after I got to see all the different careers and what you get to do, I think I want to be a peds physician or a PA maybe.
When I was coming into the patch program, I wanted to be a counseling psychologist, but after hearing one of the talkers being a psychiatrist, I wanted to do being like a child and adolescent psychiatrist.
And this concludes our presentation. Thank you.
All right, so that was great. Next, we will have Love and Mental Health presented by Brianna Myers.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brianna Myers, and I attend West Mecklenburg High School, and today I will be presenting my research project, How Does Love Affect Your Mental Health? So our topic was how love affects our mental health, and our population, or who we were targeting our research and our survey towards, were male and female individuals in grades 9 through 12. Our research question was, among high school students of both genders, do you believe your relationship status affects your mental health? In this presentation, we will be sharing our findings from the surveys we collected and other research we did. So here's some background information. What is a non-romantic relationship, and how does a non-romantic relationship affect your mental health? So basically what a non-romantic relationship is a relationship that you have with someone that doesn't involve any romantic activities. Some examples of a non-romantic relationship are friendships. You may have like a best friend or a close friend you have in one of your classes. A family relationship, that could be with like a cousin that you're close with, or maybe an uncle or aunt. And a teacher-student relationship, that could be with any of the teachers that you have that you are close with. Being in a non-romantic relationship can have both a negative and positive effect on your mental health. Some positives are reducing stress, it improves self-worth and confidence, it increases happiness, and lowers the rate of depression and anxiety. Being in a toxic non-romantic relationship can have a negative effect on your mental health. It can cause severe stress, bad behavior, problematic problems, and depression. So what is a romantic relationship, and how does being in a romantic relationship affect your mental health? Well, basically, a romantic relationship is a relationship that you have with another person that involves romantic activities. Some examples of a romantic relationship is heterosexual relationship and a homosexual relationship. Just like being in a non-romantic relationship, being in a romantic relationship can have both a negative and positive effect on your mental health. Some positives are it reduces stress, you can develop healthier habits, it boosts your confidence, and it can cause you to have like really good energy. Some negatives are severe stress, depression, anxiety, insecurities, low self-worth, and suicide and self-harm. What is heartbreak? Heartbreak is basically the worst feeling that anyone could ever like experience. It's a feeling of overwhelming sadness and grief. You can experience heartbreak through infidelity in a relationship, loss of a loved one, domestic abuse in the relationship, whether that's romantic or non-romantic, and betrayal in friendship. What is mental health, and how does heartbreak affect it? Mental health is a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. Going through heartbreak can cause anxiety, depression, behavioral issues, loss of appetite, loss of motivation, substance abuse, and suicide. Epidemiology. So we composed a survey. These were just a couple of our responses. Our first question was, are you currently in a relationship? Most of our responses, they said they were single, but 26.1% said they are in a relationship. What is your current grade level? Most of our responses were juniors, which is 44.6%. What is your sexual preference? 73.9% said they were in a heterosexual relationship. How long does your last relationship last? We had like answer choices ranging from like 1 to 3 months, 4 to 7 months, 8 to 11 months, and 1+ years. Most of our responses were 1 to 3 months and 4 to 7 months. They were the exact same percentage, which was 48.9%. Not many relationships in high school last that long. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being never and 5 being always, how often do you communicate about your mental health? Out of the 92 responses we got, majority of the people do not communicate about their mental health. Very few speak up about how they feel. And I'm one of them. How is your current mental health overall? 1 being very poor and 5 being very good. People's responses were mostly in the middle, suggesting they feel okay. It's not the best, but it isn't the worst. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being extremely negative and 10 being extremely positive, how does your relationship affect your mental health? Most people we surveyed felt that their last relationship at least had some effect on their mental health. Many felt it had a significant impact. So here are some of the results from the surveys that we got. Most teens are either single or talking. Very few are actually in a relationship. Mostly juniors ages 16 to 17 are affected by being in a relationship, whether it's non-romantic or romantic. Most were in a heterosexual relationship. Very few relationships made it past a year, which isn't surprising. Very few people talk about their mental health. Teens that respond have an okay mental health, and teens' relationships have somewhat of a negative/positive impact on their mental health. Some solutions. So here are a few solutions that we came up with. We suggest that you talk about how you feel with a trusted adult or a close friend, but if you don't have anyone that you feel comfortable going to talk to, you should seek therapy and take some time for yourself. Maybe a little self-care day would really help. Here is our conclusion. Along with the answer choices that we had on our, not really answer choices, but multiple choice questions that we had in our survey, we also had 2 open-ended questions. The ones that are like highlighted in like the white were the answers that we got for how does a non-romantic relationship affect your mental health, and then the ones that are just in like the black letters, those were the answers that we got for how does being in a romantic relationship affect your mental health. So yeah, that's all.
All right, so our next presentation will be Self-Esteem High School Edition. That's Marie, Mackenzie, Fabian, and Obed.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Good morning. My name is Mackenzie Mason, and I go to Garinger High School.
My name is Fabian Zerai, and I go to Hawthorne Academy.
My name's Marie, and I go to Sugar Creek Charter.
And my name is Obed, and I attend Philip Woodbury. So our project was on self-esteem and how it impacts high school students. All right. Self-esteem is very significant in today's society, but many people choose to avoid it. Self-esteem impact the way we interact with people, how we make decisions, and how we go about daily life. So we decided to do a survey at various schools to find a correlation between high achieving students and pretty much like how their level of self-esteem impact their way of life.
So our main focus were on high school students. So we made a survey on Google Forms to get fast and more results. So our goal was to get 100 responses, and we ended up having 106 responses in total. Our responses came from Garinger High School, Philip Woodbury, Hawthorne Academy, Sugar Creek Charter, and Independence, and etc.
Our study aim. So we wanted to see how levels of self-esteem could impact our lifestyles as high school students, such as how much sleep we get, our diet, and who we interact with. We really wanted to know why self-esteem was so low in teens and why depression, anxiety, and insecurity is so high today. So according to humanistic psychologist Abraham Maslow, you cannot reach self-actualization or your full potential without your physiological needs, which is just food, water, warmth, air, safety needs, love, and belongingness, and our topic, self-esteem. So you can't reach your full potential without having confidence and a high self-esteem.
So demographics, or in other words, who our responses were, we found that nearly 63% of our responses were female, a little less than a third identified themselves as male, and the rest filled in for either prefer not to say or other. A majority of our responses identified their race and ethnicity as African American. Nearly about 2/3 identified their race as African Americans, 22% identified their race as Hispanics, and the rest filled in for either Native Americans, Asian, Caucasians, or other. Our age group was between 14 and 20, as our research project was targeting high school students, but a majority of our ages came from 15, 16, and 17, and a few filled in as either 14, 18, and 20. A majority of our responses identified their religion or faith as Christianity. 65% identified their faith as Christianity, 21% identified their faith as other, and the rest filled in for either Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, other, and etc. So these are questions that we included in our survey. We asked, what does your daily meals look like? We asked if you ever felt alone at times. We asked if you have parents from cultural backgrounds, and if so, do you ever feel like those cultural backgrounds act as a barrier? And we also asked, do you feel as if your level of self-esteem impacts your decisions, and if so, how would it affect it? So religion's effect. We found that 50% of our responses that were involved in a God-affiliated faith rated their self-esteem as a 4 or higher, and we only found that 43% of our responses that identified themselves as non-religious rated their self-esteem as a 4 or higher, and this clearly displays the 7% difference between those that practiced a God-affiliated faith and those that just identified themselves as non-Christians or non-religious. And I think this is so because being involved in a religion can open up opportunities to things like religious groups and youth groups, which can all act as a source of happiness, which can all act as like a self-esteem booster. So sleep, we found that it was half and half between those that received 6 to 9 hours of sleep and those that only received 3 to 5 hours of sleep. And about 43% of our responses felt as if their self-esteem impacted their decision-making negatively. We found a little more than a quarter felt as if their self-esteem was affected by their decisions positively. About a quarter felt as if their self-esteem impacted their decisions positively. And a little more than a quarter also felt as if their self-esteem didn't have an impact on their decision-making. We found that 55% of people who thought their self-esteem affected their decision-making poorly only received 5 hours of sleep or less. And to me, this shows how sleep can play a role on self-esteem and how it's vital to receive a sufficient amount of sleep daily. Out of our 106 responses, we found that 45 responses said that they felt as if they had a hard time expressing themselves to their parents due to cultural backgrounds and traditional customs. And out of these 45 responses, 70% rated their self-esteem as a 3 or lower. And to me, this shows how cultural backgrounds and traditional customs can act as a barrier with self-expression to parents, and this can all deteriorate self-esteem within high school students. Diet's impact. So we found that out of our 106 responses, 17 responses said that they felt as if they ate mostly fast food daily. And out of these 17 responses, 80% felt as if they weren't good enough. We also found that 65% of these 17 responses only received 3 to 5 hours of sleep. We found that 78% of these 17 responses rated their self-esteem as a 3 or lower. And we found that roughly 71% said that at times, although they're surrounded with people, they still felt alone. So this shows how diet not only plays an impact on self-esteem, but also it plays an impact on the amount of sleep we get and also how we feel about ourselves when we're surrounded with people.
Related health outcomes. So we noticed that low self-esteem can cause excessive stress. People with low self-esteem are more likely to self-harm, which can include drug abuse, alcohol abuse, cutting, or even suicide. People with low self-esteem tend to have a fear of trying, whether it's trying out for the volleyball team or going for student body president. People with low self-esteem have depression or can have depression, anxiety, insecurities, or tend to be hostile, and they tend to be followers.
So for innovation solutions, here are some ways to improve self-esteem is being involved in groups that improve self-esteem, getting therapy or counseling, watching motivation videos, getting more sleep, and surround yourself with people that you love, and most importantly, parents, talk to your kids. So here are references that we have used on our project. And thank you.
And so our next presentation is going to be teen vaping, and that's going to be Aaliyah, Zaria, Christian, and Daniela, who couldn't make it.
Hi everyone, my name is Aaliyah Chrissy. I come from Vance High School.
Hi everyone, I'm Zaria Lewis and I come from Sugar Creek Charter School.
Hey, I'm Christian Blayton and I come from Sugar Creek Charter School as well.
You can't see her name on here, but Daniela was also a part of our group too, and she came from West Mecklenburg High School. And our project is on teen vaping. So what's vaping and why does it matter? Vaping is the act of inhaling and exhaling a vapor through a device. On our survey, we didn't really specify if it was marijuana or nicotine or any other device, like any other substance, but you can vape multiple substances through that. And so why does it matter? It matters because according to the Office of the Surgeon General, in 2018, 1 in 5 high school students reported that they used e-cigarettes. So because that's a significant percentage, it causes concern for teachers, parents, and everybody else around them, because we want to know why are they doing it despite its potential effects. And we presume that it's probably because of social pressure and also the ease of accessibility. So in our survey, before we asked them, do you vape? We also asked them questions about how they perceive vaping. So we asked them things about, can it be addictive? Can it relieve stress? Does it cause health risk? And what kind of brands do they think of when they think of vaping?
So in our survey, we listed multiple different types of vaping devices, and these are some of the ones we listed.
So that's like, Juul being the really, really big one, but also Slim Pods, Blue, Puff Bar, among a few other ones.
So the demographics, we surveyed 96 high school students in Charlotte, and they all derived from Sugar Creek, Vance, or West Meck. And of those, 72% were female, 24% of them were male, and about 3% said they prefer not to say, and majority of them were 10th graders.
So when asking the people we surveyed, did they ever vape? 30% of them said yes, they vape, which is pretty close to the percentage of people who vaped in 2018, according to that survey made by the Office of the Surgeon General. And of those who responded that they said they vaped, almost 80% of them said that they vape with flavors, which is very significant because it tells you that a lot of people who vape, especially if they're high school students, they don't vape with just normal, like no flavoring at all. So perhaps the flavors have to do with why they vape as well.
All right. So here are some of the reasons why teens vape. Majority said enjoyment, but also a second high would be stress-related reasons. Third would be social with 18.9%. Then fourth would be rehab, which is 2.7, and then others 10.8.
Some effects of vaping is lung damage, slow brain development, and some risks to your heart and circulatory system, and a weakened immune system, and gum disease, and effects on your memory, your learning, and your moods.
So, when we were about to wrap up our presentation, I discovered, and we all discovered, that there was a newer effect to vaping, and that is called the shattered jaw. And you can accumulate this by inhaling too much of a vape at one time, or you can also get it from an overcharge of the vape. And it causes the radiation or the heat to become very hot, and it actually explodes.
What? As you can see on the screen, we showed you a normal human with normal lungs and then some lungs from someone who vapes. And you can tell the difference. One of them, the vaping lung, looks smaller and it looks diseased. And we also showed you normal gums from a healthy person and gums of someone who vapes.
And we showed this picture to show that we're going to list it later on the slide, but one of the solutions should be to encourage future goals. So for instance, in advertisement, that it should be publicized as much as cigarettes that is bad. So on the left side, you have someone who's vaping who may not know their future. And then on the right side, you have an elderly woman who has a hole in her neck due to nicotine or cancer.
And, you know, this just kind of shows you that, I mean, it looks cool while you're doing it. I mean, yeah, you know, but then that could be you on the right side. And I mean, I don't know. I think So of those who responded that they said that they vape, 100% of them said that vaping does cause health risk, and 80% of them said that it can be addictive. So it's not education that's the problem. So we have to find a different way of solving this issue among high school students.
Some current policies in place for vaping is that the FDA has to approve products and vapes before they can be sold, and the government has raised the legal age to buy a vape or tobacco products from 18 to 21, and now a license is required to sell vaping products, and internet distribution of vaping products requires a third-party age verification like your ID or something like that, and e-liquid products containing nicotine must be sold in a child restraint container and must state that the product contains nicotine. This is for like buying it online and stuff.
So how do we solve this issue? So one of the big ways we can solve this is by changing the culture around vaping and making it seem like it's not cool to do it. Like, I know all y'all remember the cigarette commercials scaring the living daylights out of me. We can do the same thing for vaping and making it seem that it's not cool to do, and it has a lot of really bad effects to it. So while it may seem safer than smoking, it may not even be the case.
Another one I mentioned previously was emphasizing goal making. Just realize that if you want to have children someday, that you may end up having lung cancer or not be able to play with your child or something like that. Just realize that there's other safer methods. You can meditate, talk to a mentor, play sports, exercise, and also just try to have fun and try not to be as stressful, because we all know that life hits hard.
And also limiting the variety and flavors, because as you saw in previous slides before, most of the people who responded that said they vaped with flavors. So limiting the variety of those can decrease the amount of people who vape, because I mean, who wants to vape like plain? That's what? No.
Another thing we can do is encourage more research on the effects of vaping, because as you saw in our survey, they know that vaping can cause health issues, but they feel like, oh, it's better than smoking. But have you ever seen somebody's mouth explode from smoking a cigarette? So, not saying that cigarettes are more safer, it's just that we should also shine light on the effects of vaping and cigarettes and show that they're both not healthy for you and that you shouldn't do it.
And then, of course, with the added research, just seeing if there's like more damage that can be caused from vaping than cigarettes as well. So, and here's our references. Don't want to steal from anybody. And
oh, okay.
Thank you, Pat.
And we also like to thank Patch for helping ignite our passion in the healthcare careers that we wanted to do before we started this, and for picking us because it was a lot of people. And like, to be honest, I didn't think I was gonna get picked because it was a lot of people. And I was like, maybe some people are better than me and they have a better reason for this. And so I'm just grateful that I got picked and I got to experience this, and I learned a lot. And I loved this shadowing, the nursing program. It helped ignite my passion even more. And it's just like, I really want to do that. So it just made me for sure that I want to do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so our next group is going to be Neglect of Depression by Minority Groups. That's going to be Mina, Efren, and Jennifer.
Hi, guys. So I'm Efren Suarez, and I go to Hawthorne Academy of Health and Sciences.
I'm Mina Hines. I go to the West Charlotte.
I'm Jennifer Garcia, and I go to Philippa Berry.
We also have Zaria. She wasn't able to make it today, but she did a lot of work in this project. So our project is on how depression is viewed by minority groups, and the main question is the depression neglected by certain minority groups? So what is depression? Depression is a severe dependency or despondency or and dejection, feeling of. The depression affects over 300 million people worldwide, regardless of culture, gender, or age. Depression involves mood, body, and thoughts, and it affects the way a person handles daily activities. Everyone experiences feelings of sadness, but depression is not, it's like different from that. It persists over time and affects what you do in your daily life. Our survey was mainly targeted towards minorities, and like we also wanted to see different religions and what people identified as. Most of the parents of the people we surveyed were Latino, Black, African American, and some Caucasian, Asian, and mixed. Most of the people who answered the survey said that their race ethnicity was Latino, Hispanic, Black or African American, Asian, Caucasian, or Native American. And for religion, most of the people who took it were Christian, Catholic, and some Muslim, and 17% said that they didn't have a religion.
Common symptoms. Yeah, I'm kind of short. Common symptoms of depression: mood, so it can affect your mood; anxiety, apathy, general discontent, guilt, hopelessness, loss of interest or in pleasure in activities that cause pleasure, mood swings or sadness. Whole body causes excessive hunger. No wonder I'm always hungry. Fatigue.
Are you depressed?
Or loss of appetite. Cognitive, this is a process of thinking, so it can cause lack of concentration, slowness in activity, thoughts of suicide. Sleep, early awakening, excessive sleepiness, insomnia, or restless sleep. Statistics. Depression is one of the most common mental health illnesses in the United States. which is 26% of adults have depression. Ethnic racial minorities often bear a disproportional high burden of disability resulting from mental disorders. This is a graph that we got from our survey that we created. So we asked, have you ever experienced depression? 67% say yes, and 32% no. So it shows you how a large part of people actually have gone or experienced depression once. Research. Also, for our research, we did a survey surrounding the question, is depression neglected by certain minority groups? We wanted to further probe how depression affects minorities, also why minorities don't seek out for help, and how their community, religion, and household affects their perception on depression. So the survey was 22 questions surrounding depression and minorities and their perception on how they view depression. The general ethnicity of our survey participants were African American and Hispanics. We sent out to people from our communities aging 14 to 49. Our goal was to achieve 100 responses, but we were able to get 161, which is better. Big dogs.
We also have the data on the perception on depression. The data shown in this poster consists of minorities ages 14 to 69 and their perceptions on depression in their community, religion, and household. In this chart slash graph, we asked, is depression taken seriously in my community? And it was from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And we can see that it scales. And most people said that they were right in the middle, so that means that they didn't like agree or disagree. But we also have a large amount of people who were on the strongly disagree, which meant that they believed that depression wasn't taken very seriously. We also asked, is depression taken seriously in my religion? This is the same as the other one. It scales from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And once again, it was like the most people said that it was right in the middle. That means that they didn't agree or disagree. But in this one, you can still see that there's a large amount of people who are on the strongly disagree side, which means that there's still a large number of people who feel that depression is neglected in their religion. In this question, we asked, is depression taken seriously in my family? And it goes from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And in this one, a lot of people said that they agreed that depression was taken seriously in their families, but there's still a lot of people who were like right in the middle or skewed to the left. We also asked why they said that help wasn't sought, and most of the people said family. So this could be on how like family views you. A lot of people believe that like a lot of people in families believe that depression is like kind of like a weakness, and it's like that doesn't encourage people to go seek the help that they need. Another one was personal beliefs. A lot of people said that they thought that they could just fight through it, or that they didn't need any help. And that sometimes can lead to people like getting really deep into depression and sometimes even committing suicide. The smaller ones were culture and religion, but it shows that there's still like a lot of data. These are the reasons why depression why help wasn't sought.
Personal responses. So for personal responses, we asked if they could share a little bit of what they think on depression. And one person said that Hispanic parents don't really believe in depression, which supports that. The fact of our research, which is how minorities do not believe or support depression. And another one is how a person had depression for 9 months, but after going to therapy, it actually helped. And another person describing how they felt by having depression. So continuing the personal responses, again, a person describing how their Hispanic parents don't let them be open about their feelings, and another describing how their depressive period shaped them and made them who they are today, and another person describing how they felt. And the last one we put on there because we believe that one share how ugly depression is. It's like, so if I could read it, I have depression and I feel like it's something that you can't get rid of because I feel like I'm drowning in the ocean, trying to reach out for help, but no one is there. People don't understand my depression, but to me it's fine because I don't want them to suffer or worry because I care too much to give them sadness. I don't know, to me that hit me really hard because it shows how that person feels, like they're drowning, and they have not seek for help and don't want to seek for help because they seek out for the better of others and not for themselves. So I feel like this shows how depression should be something that people understand is extremely important. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that last quote, like she said, it really hit all of us. So our project, like we said, was on neglection of help. So some of the important things is that it also affects your physical health. And it can take a negative toll on your body. It can lead to things like insomnia. Now, these are just like symptoms. Just because you can't sleep don't mean you're depressed. Fatigue, it can weaken your immune system. The corona's going around, so you might want to get some help. I want my immune system strong, but yeah, just gonna throw that out there. It increases risk of stroke, heart attack, or disease, and visible weight gain or weight loss. Oh, again, just because you're, heavy set doesn't mean you're depressed. Just gonna throw that out there. And as we all know, not getting help also affects your mental health, and it can lead to very negative impacts. It can lead to things like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, anxiety, panic disorder, OCD, drinking and smoking addiction, suicidal thoughts or self-harm, and yeah, I said anxiety. Okay, treatments and solutions. Our whole project, like I said, was neglection. So here's how you can get help. Well, of course, go to a therapist, simple. And don't let stigma, like the stigma of your parents or your religion, create self-doubt or self-shame. It can make you feel like, it's a weakness and that you can't go get help, but actually seeking counseling and educating yourself can really, gain self-esteem and overcome that, barrier. And speak up, speak out, learn more. Because, some people think that not speaking out can, speaking out can not do nothing because you think nobody hears you. But I believe that once you speak out, one person's going to hear you, and that one person is going to tell that other person, and it's going to start a big thing, like how the coronavirus was spoken about. Throwing that out there.
So it actually works.
Yeah, it works. Moving forward. So after we give you all this information on the statistics, on personal responses, our goal was to expose the stigmas and how that can affect you not getting help and how it affects teens both physically and mentally. And now that we have presented testimonials and facts with background knowledge, we hope to end these negative stigmas that's caused around not getting help, not looking for it, or just not believing in it. And we want to share that it is okay to get help. It is okay to speak out. And, for the parents who's, you don't need that, it is actually beneficial in the long run because, as we explained with the mental health, you have to go to the hospital and get a lot of things done, like, corona. Sorry, I just keep on shouting that out. It can weaken your immune system. So that's going to lead up to a lot more money and stuff versus when you could just handle this right there, get it over with, and you'll feel better. Oh yeah, and if you are depressed, again, just because you can't sleep, you're not depressed,
This can also be for parents too, because parents, this can also work for parents too, because parents don't let their feelings out much. So if you feel like you cannot get help from someone, there's always this numbers that you can reach out to.
Yeah, one being the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which think it's self-explanatory, and the Samaritans, which offer emotional support for anybody feeling lonely or just down.
And that's it. Thank you guys so much.
Now, one more thing. So, with my patch experience, I don't know if they're going to talk about it, but I need to vent real quick. So, I came in, right, and I wanted to be a psychiatrist, but as you know, we did shadowing. And now I'm really upset because now I'm really thinking of being a neonatal nurse because the nursery, I love peds. And yeah, I'm kind of upset because I really want to be a psychiatrist, but them babies, I love them babies, okay? Yeah. And
I want to do.
Oh, okay. I got time, but yeah. And references, like I worked hard on these references, so please look at them.
Wait, let me show
MLA format. This took forever because they could not citate that, and yeah, I worked hard. Okay, thank you.
Wait. I also want to share mine too. I also need a vent because I was so in love with surgery. And then I went to ICU and like, oh my God, bro, like no. No. Now I'm in love with ICU, internal medicine, peds. I'm so lost now.
They gotta solve this combobulated.
I'm so lost, but I have so much fun in here, and if someone were to offer me to come here again, I would say yes without even thinking for 5 seconds. Thank you very much.
I mean, honestly, for me, it was the same thing. I came here, and I was really interested in Artho, which I really enjoyed the first session that we did on the on casting. But then I started looking more, and I got to see emergency medicine, which I really didn't know about it that much, but I got to see more of it now, and I didn't know what it was at first, and now I actually know what it is, and I think that's more of what I want to do now.
Thank you.
We're done for real this time.
All right, our next presentation is going to be domestic violence. That's Jason, Kaylin, and Audrey.
My name is Kaylin Tart. I go to Hawthorne Academy of Health and Sciences.
My name is Audrey Martinez, and I go to IMEC at Cochrane Collegiate Academy.
My name is Jason Faulkner, and I attend Sugar Creek Charter High School.
And our topic is on domestic violence.
Okay, so what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is defined as the aggressive or violent behavior that takes place within a home towards an intimate partner or any other family member in a household. Domestic violence is also one of the most underreported crimes in the United States. What is your definition of domestic violence? We conducted a survey asking students from our high schools their views and thoughts on domestic violence. There's a specific question in the survey that gave options for answers to describe the most accurate definition of domestic violence, and 8% of our respondents said domestic violence only applies to physical, verbal, and mental abuse. And that's our image of our percentage of answers.
Describing the different types of domestic violence. Domestic violence does not always have to be aggressive and verbal. It can also be economic and psychological violence. Economically, it can be because this one of the celebrities that we all know, Mariah Carey, had suffered through this. Her intimate partner was like, it was like a business and a marriage relationship, so she couldn't let him go because that's one of the people she needed in her life to make sure that her career stayed on track. Gender differences. For men, it's kind of weird because most people, it's like a myth that says that men can't be violated by a woman. And that's not true because we are not invincible to women. It is actually a true fact that 1 in every 9 males have been affected by domestic violence.
1 in 4 women will experience some form of violence in their lifetime. Women are more likely to experience domestic violence than men. And women usually don't speak up because they're scared or afraid of what their partner might do if they do speak up. So this is basically how we conducted our research. First, we created a document on Google Docs filled with questions and notes about our survey or what we asked on the survey. Then we created the survey. Then we let kids from Hawthorne, Sugar Creek, IMEC, and other CMS schools, and mainly high school kids, answer our questions. We planned on getting 100 responses, but we ended up getting 90.
Another one of our questions on our survey was, what race do you think is mostly affected by domestic violence? We had a diverse selection of answers, and 72 of our respondents said African American people are the most affected. And based on our research, multiple websites say that domestic violence is a bigger problem with African American women.
So this is one of our open-ended questions. The question said, how does domestic violence affect people on a daily basis? So we chose 2 quotes from 2 different people. One of the quotes was, a person experiencing domestic violence feels afraid, nervous, like they won't amount up to anything, and has that person feeling like a slave to the person abusing them. And the second quote says, it can cause them to be anxious to almost anything. They seem to be in a somewhat depressed state. They might hide injuries or act more caring as to not upset anyone.
If you were to be a victim of domestic violence, would you speak up about it? 47.1% said maybe, and 43.7% said no. Said yes, and 9.2% said no. And hopefully, with this presentation, we can change that number to 0. 100%. My bad. Why won't women just leave? Some women won't leave because of fear, believing abuse is normal, and fear of being outed. Celebrities that have been affected by domestic violence. Mariah Carey in 2009 admitted that she had been emotionally abused by her ex-boyfriend. She stated, for me to really get out, it was difficult because there was a connection that was not only a marriage but a business thing where the person was in control of my life. She also said, you just get into a situation and feel locked in. She was inspired to reveal her story because of another Hollywood star, Rihanna, going through a domestic abuse problem. And also, Tyler Perry had suffered physical and emotional abuse from his father. His father brutally whipped him with a vacuum cord, and he had also been sexually abused several times by him throughout his childhood. And in one of the interviews he had with some other people, he said that he attempted suicide once, and right now he is still learning how to cope with his childhood and has come to terms with his father.
So after all of our research, we found a few solutions, a few hotlines that could help with awareness for domestic violence. If you're a victim, you can contact the following resources.
And that's it. Thank you. I also want to thank all the Patch people for choosing all of us. This experience was great, And I also want to thank the people that we shadowed because they explained each thing and made sure we understand everything. Thank you.
Wait. First, I want to thank the other Pat students. I got to make different relationships here and different friendships. And also, I want to thank our mentors because they were really nice to me, and it was a really cool experience. And yeah. Thanks.
All right, I know we lost our sign, but we have one more group to go. That'll be the high schoolers' knowledge of contraception. You're already on your way up here. Perfect.
Hi, everybody. Our project is high schoolers' knowledge of contraception. I'm Asia Sharp from West Charlotte.
I'm Leslie Antonio from Garinger High School.
I'm Angela Sapir from Philippa Berry Academy of Technology.
And I'm Seth Underwood from Sugar Creek Charter.
And we are all sophomores.
Contraception is different methods to prevent pregnancy, and the different methods are abstinence, birth control, condoms, IUD, and more. Abstinence. Abstinence is not having any sexual intercourse with somebody, so not having sex at all. That's 100% effective for not having a child or not having any diseases.
Birth control pills, they're taken orally at certain times of the day. They do not help prevent STIs, but they do help prevent teen pregnancy or any type of pregnancy at all.
All right. So, these are IUDs. The white one on the left is a hormonal IUD. You put it in the female's uterus, and it releases a hormone, and it kills sperm cells. And on the left is a copper IUD, and this IUD doesn't release a hormone, but it just also kills sperm cells. Yes.
These are condoms. Obviously, they go over the penis, and they're latex, and if used properly, they're a barrier for sperm to get into the vagina, and they can also help with preventing STIs, which is sexually transmitted infections.
Who is at risk? Teens are at higher risk for teen pregnancies if they have been in these situations, have had limited education on contraception, never been taught about contraception, haven't had a strong support system.
This is how we got our information, our demographics. So basically, we surveyed over 100 students from 6 different high schools across our area. We wanted 100 responses, but we got 121. And basically, we surveyed them on the basic knowledge on contraception.
Okay, so we surveyed people from 8 different ethnicities. The most popular one, as you can see, at 65% was African American. The next was Hispanic at 23%, and then the third one was Asian.
We also had another question, and our question was, are you sexually active? And out of all of our responses, 62% were no and 37% was yes.
So basically, our primary data collection, basically what we got from all of this information was that 47.1% of our participants were either uncomfortable or just neutral like it didn't matter to them about using contraception. And then almost 45% of our participants wouldn't even know where to get birth control. Even if they were having sexual intercourse, they still wouldn't even know where to go get it. And then many respondents were unsure about methods to prevent STIs. Like some of them thought that birth control pills could prevent STIs, so they were unsure about that. Another key question that we thought was interesting was that 47.9% of our respondents decided that they would prefer to use birth control pills, and this was male and female, and 52.1% wanted to use condoms. Some related health outcomes that we came up with were sexually transmitted infections, which are just infections through sexual contact caused by viruses, bacteria, or even parasites. Another related health outcome was teen pregnancy, obviously, and the teen birth rate per 1,000 15 through 19-year-olds is 20.6 teens in North Carolina. And another related outcome is teen pregnancy complications, which include
teen pregnancy complications are low birth weight, premature birth, anemia, higher chance infant death.
Some policies and regulations. Over a decade ago, North Carolina passed the Health Youth Act, and basically that act was just made to like create a foundation for health classes for grades 7th through 9th. And then they give local school systems like CMS the ability to create their own guidelines when it comes to their health classes. So like we're required to take health, obviously, in middle school. So they, give them the chance to make their own guidelines for those classes.
Some innovative solutions include reconstruction of health course curriculum. So that could be including hands-on experiences like teen parenting simulations. Like I'm sure you guys seen in like movies and things where they take like robot babies home and see like how they would react with that. Another thing is getting a mentor to help advise you with different things or any difficulties you may have. Another is getting additional health courses, workshops, and just being more educated about it, and organize support groups in schools. So our call to action is to ask advice from people who make a positive impact in your life, and just keep those people in your life and just ask them if you have any more questions, and creating a safe space for communication.
Make sure you think about your decisions before executing them and weigh the pros and cons.
There's a Child Hope hotline on the screen if you want to reach out to them.
If you know anybody that needs help or is pregnant and doesn't have their parents or any influencers in their life, Planned Parenthood is on the screen, so please.
These are our credits, and thank you.
All right, good job, everyone. If we could just go ahead and give another round of applause for everyone, because y'all did a great job. So while they're getting that sign up, I'll go ahead and let you all know that it was great working with you. I'm glad I got to meet every single one of you. More importantly, I want to encourage you all to come back next year and know that we have ACT prep. I know I've talked with some of you about that. And just know that we're here as resources too. You have all of our numbers, you have our email addresses, you can send us emails. Some of you all have reached out about references. Those are all things that we feel comfortable doing. I know you're going to be working on college applications in the next 12 months or so. And so as you start working on those, remember that you've got a bunch of people who have been through it and are happy to help you. Otherwise, just looking at my reminders here, keep in touch. We're happy to help y'all as we keep moving forward, we want to help keep y'all moving forward too. So if you need more exposure, if you want advice about shadowing, things like that, please reach out. We're here for y'all.
And I just want to say congratulations again to all of you. You're now officially done. You've finished your presentations and they were all fantastic. You all have made a big sacrifice, especially for your age, for where you're currently at in your education. High school can be very stressful, and you guys decided to take the extra step and commitment and commit 8 of your Saturdays to come here and give us your time and give us your effort. So everyone at home, all the families and friends watching should be very proud of all of you here, and I'm sure they would have loved to be here to celebrate with you all. From us, all the leadership and all the volunteers that were here and that got to see you guys every Saturday, we just want to say that this has been an amazing group. You all have been very committed since the first day. Every one of you has showed us the intelligence that you deserve to be here, the passion in terms of what you want to go into and the effort you put into your research projects, and also just in general, the effort that you guys have, what it takes to take it to that next step and to get to that next step. For us, it's been really rewarding to work with you guys. And it's a lot of commitment on our side as well, but getting here and seeing you guys and seeing, what you're doing in your projects really makes it all worthwhile and kind of reinvigorates that passion and that curiosity in ourselves as well. That's what we get out of it. What we hope that you all got out of it. One is exposure to the different medical fields and maybe fields that you hadn't considered in the past. It was really happy to hear a lot of you mention that the shadowing experience and seeing different fields really opened your eyes to other possibilities, which is great. 2, experience. Now you have experience doing your own research. Now you have some hands-on experience with the casting, with the different simulations that we did. On top of that, we hope that you gained a community. I'm glad I heard some of you talk about meeting people from other schools that have similar aspirations, similar goals, and in this long and hard journey, that's going to be very helpful. So we hope that you all keep in contact with each other. And lastly, I hope that you guys gained an understanding that, one, there are people in medicine that look like you, that come from similar backgrounds, that there is a place in medicine for all of us, and most importantly, that there's a need in medicine for all of us. So congratulations to you guys for being done. We're very excited to see you guys continue on your journey.
And so the last part of our program before we move out of this room is going to be presenting each of you with your certificate of completion for the Patch program. So what we're going to do is when we call out names, we're going to have you come up past Radhika towards Sagar, grab your t-shirt, and then down on the other side, okay?
So wait, this is what's gonna happen. So you're gonna get your certificate here. We want you to take a picture, each person, with the leadership and Dr. Chang, okay? So take your picture, hold your certificate, look proud. We'll have the Patch sign behind you. We have our wonderful photographer, Portia. I don't know what you think about these lights here.
Dim it a little bit, not too much.
Are we able to dim these stage lights up here?
Just a little bit. Yeah,
Just so it's not like overhead light. I don't know if he's hearing these.
Because this is what it looks like. That's okay.
That's what, yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Should be all right. Not too much.
Okay, I think we're good. Let's go.
Who's going to read it?
Where did Brad go?
I can go ahead.
We were gonna. Yeah, you can start.
All right.
Yeah, we were gonna have Brad read them so we can send it there.
Okay.
Can we have the volunteer? Oh, Kyle? Yeah, we can have. Yeah, but
You can read and then just, well, let's go and then you can come back up for the picture. So we'll have some time. Okay.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and start calling your names, and you're going to come around this way. So first is going to be Leslie Antonio.
It's a little dark, I think. I think it was okay.
Oh, I
where
got
it
it,
was.
I got it. There we go.
It's okay?
Yeah, I just did it.
Valerie Banks. Probably. Marie Bashangazi.
Okay, I apologize in advance if I mispronounce your name. Please correct me if I mispronounce your name. But you want to do a picture. We want all of you to do a picture.
It's on our own Instagram.
Oh, I didn't see that. Nikayla Belk.
Yeah, Michaela.
Ooh, go for it.
Yeah, I just got this to get on my camera.
Okay, great. Christian Blakeney. Good job. Get in there. Let's go.
Ooh, go Christian.
Jason Faulkner.
That's good. All right. Hold on, don't spread out too far. I'm not tall enough.
Good job.
Yes, sir, Jason.
Brian Flores. Congratulations. Good job. Jennifer Garcia.
Sonríe la cámara. Great job.
Amaya Gordon. You got it, Portia? Jamari Grady.
Yeah, Jamari.
Mina Hines.
You're not gonna fall.
Aaliyah Kersey. Obed Kiakebo.
Did I pronounce your last name right?
Nice job.
Zaria here? Lanier. Okay. Zaria Lanier's not here today, but we'll be sure to give her her certificate and t-shirt. Zaria Lewis.
Hold up the
Audrey Martinez. Good job. Mackenzie Mason.
That matches her certificate.
Oh, sorry. Brianna Myers. Did the whole thing by yourself, girl.
I didn't take a picture with her.
Shh. Let's keep it down. We're still being recorded, okay?
Asia Reed. Good job. Savannah Rogers is not, who's also not here today. We'll be sure she gets her certificate and t-shirt. Next is Azaria Rose, who's also not here, but let's go Azaria. Angela Sapu, I don't know if I pronounced your name. Last name.
Are you still doing elbow thing? Let's do a foot thing. Oh.
Great job.
Asia Sharp. Efrain Suarez.
They called my name. I was spaced out.
You didn't even listen.
Oh.
Congratulations.
He was
All right. Thank you, guys.
Kaylin Tart. Congratulations.
Give it, Caitlin.
Daniela Torres. She's not here. Seth Underwood.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want one that way? Do you want some? No?
Janae Washington. And lastly, Miss Fabian Zuray. Not sure if I Fabian Zuray. Thank you. And let's have another round of applause for all of our wonderful scholars.
You guys, before we get our group picture, we're almost done. I wanted to recognize the leaders of this program, these amazing medical students that truly are above and beyond giving you their time on Saturday. I can't underscore what kind of organization, like they have very strong organizational skills, they work really hard, and they really care about you. So I want to acknowledge them all. And before I do this group, I want to say there's a teacher from CMS who taught at Geringer last year, and she actually was unable to make it today. And that is, Maggie Brownrigg, who really was behind the scenes doing a lot of the work these last few weeks. And she is ill today, so she couldn't join us. But we wanted to thank Maggie, so I just wanted to give it up to her before we also. We're hoping Maggie will be a medical student with us. She's been accepted, and she's been a teacher, and she's that person that we're talking about that founded the program, that similar kind of person who founded Patch at the beginning. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and thank this year's leaders. First, Malcolm Chapman. Next, we have Vashti Bandy. Next, we have Rob Short. Martine Bahia. And Phil Barker missed a flight, I guess, stuck in Houston, Texas, where he's from, so he couldn't join us today. But we have Radhika Godasara. And lastly, Sagar Patel.